So here you are advising all these, C-level people, as they say, on important business matters, and all they want to know is how to get a date?
Absolutely.
I'm going to sound like Oprah here, but you're not going to find it out there if you don't find it in here.
In here. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Was that Oprah? I think
yes.
that was Oprah.
Up to 40% of marriages wind up ending in divorce, either via miscarriage, stillbirth, or some kind of other form of child death.
Today, relationship expert Ceil Hansen was a business consultant advising CEOs of major companies, but they all kept asking her for dating advice. Today, she tells you how to get back into dating after divorce. And then filmmaker Dane Terrell, director of a film dealing with miscarriage and female alcoholism. But up first, Ceil Hansen. Great to meet you, Ceil.
Thank you. It's nice to be here, Greg.
Well, great to have you. And so here you are advising all these, C-level people, as they say, on important business matters, and all they want to know is how to get a date?
Absolutely. They ask me questions about their dating lives, and they start opening up their lives to me, and that's when I realized I was in the wrong business. I should be helping people with their dating questions.
And here you are.
Yes, I am.
And of course, these days, with the divorce rate as high as it is,
absolutely,
one of the big questions is what happens after the divorce?
And a lot of people have been, especially people who have been in relationships for a long time. I have one client that I coach, and she's been married for 19 years.
19 years.
And she was scared to jump back into the dating pool. She had a tumultuous relationship, a really hard relationship, very abusive ex-husband, and she basically lost her self-esteem. She doesn't really know how to get back in the dating pool, and she's a very successful person.
Oh.
So it does play its
And as
games.
you said when we talked earlier, not only, has it been a while, but just the way the world's changed with social media and everything else, that it's just a different...
Absolutely. Absolutely. With social media and online dating and internet online dating, it's been a whole world of, it's pretty much a mismatch of things, and people just don't know. Should I go? Should I not go? Should I use Match.com? Should I use eHarmony? People are confused.
Should I use Craigslist? Oh,
Should
no,
I use Craigslist?
I'm sorry. Okay, I have to admit, I'm still a little suspicious of the whole online dating thing. Maybe just because every time you hear about Craigslist, it's like serial killer is the other word that comes up. So.
And you have to be careful. You have to be careful. You really still need to. You don't trust everything that you see. Just like in the real world, you don't trust people that you meet right away. At least you have your guard up just a little bit. Before you give your address, before you give your phone number, your email address, your Facebook, everything.
One thing I noticed you mentioned, though, was kind of a throwback to more of the old days when you maybe meet people through other people. You said kind of meet through your Facebook friends, like a friend of a Facebook friend of a Facebook friend instead of a friend of a friend.
Right.
You know what I'm trying to say.
That's right, exactly. And nowadays, it's much easier for people to meet and get to know other people. And the whole idea of social media really has opened a world of transparency. Now you know exactly who I am.
Oh,
mainly because
I know
friends.
what you ate for dinner last night. I have pictures of everything. You know what I mean? That's
right.
the way it is these days.
That's right. You have pictures of everything. So it kind of makes it fun in a way, but on the other hand, you still have to be careful. Especially if you're using Facebook for anything that's professional. You still need to be careful.
But the good thing is, though, I guess, right, that if it goes sour, you can always just block them.
You can unfriend. You can unfriend them, and the other person will not know.
Yeah. Where'd they go? What happened?
That's right. That's right. That's a polite way of saying I don't want to see you anymore and don't want to talk to you anymore. Absolutely.
But what about just dealing with even the apprehension? Well, I guess maybe again, the online maybe was one way to get in it. But what about going out there face to face? What'd you tell that woman who was out of it for 19 years?
Well, that's a great question, Greg. A lot of people try to rely on the safety net of being behind a computer. And, a lot of people tend to do that. So they spend most of their time getting on online dating sites and not really meeting other people. One of the things that I hear from my dating clients, especially the men, is they will say, well, Ceil, I've talked to 5 women today and not one of them really wants to go out. What's wrong? What am I doing? well, let's take a look at what these people are doing, or maybe how you're presenting yourself. A lot of people would try to stay behind that computer, and when you do that, you need to go out. You need to network. Just like what you do in business, you got to go out and you have to network.
So you can't do everything
online. You can't do everything just online. It has to be a balance. Try to create a strategy where you get yourself involved with different activities.
Well, I know you talk too about kind of branding or building your own image.
Is
that part of it too, deciding what you're putting out there? And
absolutely, absolutely. Part of it, and part of one of the things that I always tell my clients is you got to make dating fun, because dating can be very taxing. It could be
that's the thing.
daunting.
I think you almost forget that, right? I mean, we're talking about all kind of the things that can go wrong or how hard it is, but it should be fun. That's the point.
It should be fun. It should be exciting. Don't look at it as work. See it as a step. It's your journey towards your destination. Your destination is you want to find somebody that you can love, somebody that you can give yourself to again. And it's not just like you're going to find that person sitting at home using your remote and just watching television. You have to go out there. You need to get yourself out there. Get yourself involved with different activities. I have a meetup group which is very active. I put together indoor sporting events. Why? Because it's safe. It's safe for people to get involved. They could go indoor rock climbing or indoor skydiving, and before you know it, you're meeting 10, 20 people, single people.
Wow. And it's also kind of nice because of a shared activity as well, but also active people, I imagine, you know, or people who aren't just sedentary, sitting around watching TV all the time or something.
That's right, that's right. Oh, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the things is we need to also make sure that when we go back to the dating world, you gotta look good, right? Once you set into a relationship, what happens? You let yourself go. Well, majority of people do. They let themselves go.
Well, if you look at people who've been married a long time.
Exactly. Exactly. So once you go back to, one of my clients has been married for 25 years, and she literally let herself go. Now that she's back again and she's back into the dating world, she said, Ceil, I feel terrible. I feel like I'm too bloated. I said, well, one of the things that you need to create is you need to create a strategy so that you're going out there, get yourself involved with a lot of different activities, try to feel good about yourself, because it really has to come from within. And just like we were talking about, the personal branding has to come from within. You need to feel happy first about yourself. Then you can go out and make another person happy.
I liked your comment too that I read, that people have a tendency to talk too much, I think, about their exes. Like I know one woman who every time she was going to go date on somebody, but like she told me literally, like she would sit down at a restaurant and start talking about her exes, like why she broke up with this guy and why she broke up with that guy. To me, that would just be like the most horrendous kind of conversation to have with somebody you're just meeting.
Absolutely. It scares people off. And majority of the time when people start talking about their exes in first or second dates, really, if we think about it, a lot of them are just nervous. Now, there are also a lot of people who feel that it is their only way to filter out people that they don't want. That's not really the right way to do it.
If you're like that, then stay away.
Exactly. Does he burp after eating? Does he? You have to be careful about stuff like that. Many people really need to understand that when you're out there, you need to create a good first impression. First or second dates, be yourself, but at least create a good impression.
Hold that thought. We'll keep it on the good thought there for a second, and we will be right back. And we are back with Ceil Hansen, dating expert. Okay, so I think we were on the first date and everything was going great. Then what? Then it's all downhill from there?
And hopefully not. Hopefully there's going to be a second date and a third date. But one of the things that we were talking about earlier is try not to talk about exes on your first date. And it's more difficult to even think about it, but try to be more positive.
And I get your point about maybe filtering people out, but to me it also sounds like you're fixated on that person.
On the negative.
Negative, and also that you maybe haven't put him behind you, but
absolutely. If you're not done yet, you're not ready to date. And if you still focus on a lot of things that your ex did, maybe you're still not ready to date. Give yourself time to grieve.
Especially after divorce. Is there a time limit or a time period that's right or not right?
Great question. There isn't a time limit that, somebody would say, well, it's been 2 months, you should start dating. No. It all depends on each person. a lot of times some people have a longer time to grieve. A lot of people need a longer time to grieve. Some people don't. Some people just go, well, maybe in about a couple months or 3 months, I can start dating again. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. It just all depends on the person. Some people would just use it to distract themselves and just go out there.
Now, again, when you were talking about the exes, so I keep thinking of what a divorce attorney told me once, that he was talking more about remarriage, or, you know, like warning people before they get married again. You know, like, but he said, you know, a lot of people, well, you hear this, not only date the same person over and over again,
yes.
but marry the same person over and over again.
And there's a really clear point to that, Greg, because most of the time we tend to be attracted to pretty much the same types of personality traits. And I want to call it the social value too. A lot of us, we create our own social value out in society, which means the way we are perceived by other people depends on our own self-confidence.
Sure.
If we don't have that self-confidence, again, people sense that, and that puts your social value down. So getting your social value up so that you feel confident about yourself, you're happy about yourself, and it comes from within, increases your sense of social value.
And it's interesting, you know, when we were saying at the beginning about even the CEOs or executives of companies that in, you know, in this day and age where, you know, say, well, and it's true for guys, not just for women, but, you know, you have working women in careers and stuff, but it still comes down to a lot of the same things, though, with, you know, how do I meet somebody, and,
yes.
you know, and
absolutely,
because you might have the career all in order, but yet sometimes it's hard to have that business plan for a date, you know.
Right, that's true.
But then you hear about these people, though, who say, though, like, you know, I'm going to get married, or they do have it all planned out, which is almost scarier, maybe.
Right,
you know?
right, they do, and I know a lot of people who do. A lot of people would say, well, Ceil, in about 2 years, if I'm not getting married, that's it. I'm never getting married.
But so sometimes I think, though, they settle for anybody to make that come to, you know, meet that goal. They just,
and that is a huge mistake. And and this is what we're talking about again, based on what we were talking earlier. When you're not ready, you really need to know yourself, your inner wisdom, and listen to your inner wisdom as far as, am I ready to go out there? Am I ready to get myself involved with somebody? Am I ready to give myself again to another person and to accept the person for who that person is? There are a lot of dynamics that we have to consider, especially in dating. And here's the funny thing. We go to school to learn accounting. We go to school to learn computers. But we don't have any university that says, I'm going to a school for dating. Yeah. Right?
Well, that's
and it's
why
one
I
of the most
believe now,
important.
you know, when we've done shows on parenting and stuff, I think people should have to take a parenting class.
Absolutely.
If you're getting married, I don't know, I hear in some states maybe you do, but you should probably have to take like a marriage class.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's like a 24-hour seminar or something where you sit down and, but even, so a dating thing too may help people
right? I mean,
think about.
Falling in love and being in love is one of the most important things in our lives. Let's admit it. It's, you know, no matter how successful you are, it could be lonely up there when you're alone.
Sure. Now, what about the holidays? Speaking of loneliness, I think that's a lonely time for people.
Yes, yes. The reason why I brought that up earlier was because a lot of people use the holidays as a way to get and feel bad about themselves. Now,
it's Valentine's Day and I'm not out on a date, or it's
and
Christmas
I'm alone. Exactly. Well, you only make the holidays as memorable as you want them to be. If you're trying to remember your holiday, Christmas or Valentine's Day, as something that you and your ex have been doing, you guys went to town, of course you're always going to remember it that way. Try to think outside the box and try to think, well, I'm on a new path, I'm going to meet a new person, my life is going to be wonderful, and I know I can make it wonderful. And the only way I can do it is to make sure that I let go of the past, get closure on my exes, and move on. This is the way I want my life to be, because I know it's going to be great.
What do you think about follow-up for a date? I mean, I know maybe there's no hard and fast rule, but, well, and also when you talk about image, like what you put out there, I feel like if you act desperate, you know, that's not going to, but you get people who like call like 10 times a day or something.
Right.
I mean, should you call somebody 10 times a day, and
No.
why aren't you calling me?
Absolutely not.
I mean, you should just never do that.
No.
I mean, I can't think of a situation why
I
you
don't
would
think
ever,
anybody
you know?
should, but there are, Greg. There are people who actually do.
Oh, and that's the point. Yeah,
And
people
that
do.
is what we talk about when you and I were talking about earlier about social value. How do you put yourself out there? Are you that confident person?
I know you're there. Pick up.
Right. Or are you desperate? Do you really just want to be in a relationship because you are lonely? That's
And
wrong.
what you said to it scares people away.
Absolutely.
I think,
Oh,
you know?
yeah. And the confident people will actually sense that. They're going to sense that you're desperate. They'll sense that you're needy. And before you know it, you're just driving them away without even knowing it. So, yeah, I agree. You have to be careful about it.
But so, I mean, I'm just curious, but do you tell people, I mean, again, I don't mean to, I also wonder when people make it sound too contrived and say like they've got to wait a day to call or something, but do you tell people anything like that they should or shouldn't, or
Not at
just
all.
go with your gut, or what do you do?
Go with your gut feeling. If you feel it was a great date, why not? Pick up the phone. If you are on your way home and you really want to talk to that person, go ahead and pick up the phone. Why wait a day? Why follow certain rules where you'll go, I'm going to wait 2 days, I'm going to wait 3 days? No, that's games. We're tired of games. I think everybody's tired of games.
But just not 10 times.
Not 10 times.
I'm going to think of that now. I'll be laughing later about that. Well, in our final few seconds here, is there anything else you want to tell people who are getting back out there dating after divorce?
Well, one of the things that I really wanted to just impart with a lot of people who are going back there, try to get to know yourself first and be happy. Inherently happy with who you are.
Yep.
It really starts there from within. And life may not be perfect. It's okay. That's life. But be happy with who you are, and that next person will sense it.
Because I'm going to sound like Oprah here, but you're not going to find it out there if you don't find it in here.
In here. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely
Was that Oprah?
right.
I think that was Oprah. Thank you very much,
Well,
Ceil
thank
Hansen.
you so much, Greg.
was a
Thank you. It was a
pleasure.
pleasure to be here, too.
We'll be right back. And we are back with Dane Terrell, a filmmaker who is doing a new movie, Casey, about female alcoholism and miscarriages. Great to have you here today, Dane.
Thank you, Greg.
So as a guy, what draws you to this subject?
Well, as a guy who had to witness 2 of his friends, females, go through the trauma of miscarriages, that really impacted me more than I thought I would. 2005 is when I wrote Casey. It was the second script that I wrote. And like I said, it was right about that time that I really got serious about my writing. And as a new writer, I was like, do I want to just kind of do what's already been done, or do I want to push the envelope? So Casey, while it wasn't an inopportune time, excuse me, for my friends who went through that, was an opportune time for me to write it. Like I said, you witness them going through the highs, you know, of being expecting mothers, you know, they were married too, then having to witness them go through a silent withdrawal. And as a friend, you want to help them. You care for them, you know, let's talk about it, you know, or talk to someone about it. And because they didn't do it, that's what spurred my mind to realize, you know, this is a bigger issue than just these 2 women, and sure enough, it is. I don't know if you know, it's reported that roughly 1 out of 4 women suffer miscarriage.
1 out of 4, really
1 out of
that
4.
high.
It's a higher statistic for women that are 35 and older.
And women are having children at almost any age these days, it seems. I was reading the paper about 70-year-old women in India or something are having kids. So.
Right, but
there's a risk with that.
There's a risk, especially for 35 and older. But you would be amazed that while, for the most part, miscarriages are, the cause of it are unknown, there are some, to an extent, physical causes of it. Alcohol, for example, you know, which can lead to alcoholic fetal syndrome.
So people will actually still drink when they're pregnant?
They should not. I hope they do not. Because that can cause miscarriages, if not, like I said, alcoholic fetal syndrome, where children have been known to be stillborn or having lasting mental and physical defects because the mother was consuming alcohol while pregnant.
Can you drink any alcohol when you're pregnant?
It's important to note that I'm not a certified doctor. So, but from the
Me
research,
neither, by the way.
but like I said, when I really jumped into Casey and really realized what an impact miscarriages have. All the research that I've shown strongly, they urge you to cut back on the alcoholic intake, and especially caffeine. So soda, coffee, mothers are expected to cut back on that to help reduce miscarriage risk. But what also amazed me was women who are stricken with rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, autoimmune diseases, have a higher rate of miscarriages, and even women who are celiacs, they stand a 7 to 9% chance of having a miscarriage.
And what is celiac?
Celiac is the inability or intolerance to digest gluten or wheat.
Oh.
So you would be amazed, because I'm forced to live a gluten-free lifestyle myself. It's in virtually everything. You go to the store, Safeway, I don't know where you shop. It's in virtually everything.
I didn't realize that it affects miscarriages.
I realized, at least, that's what helped inspire me to keep the story going. This has been 6 years in the making. Like I said, I wrote the script back in 2005, and the more I studied on it, the more I realized that this is an important voice that needs to be told. So women who are stricken with celiac disease, and even women with diabetes. Diabetes has been known to have an astronomical effect.
Oh, right, because you could be taking insulin or some kind of medication or
alcohol, because too much alcohol in your system has been known to spike, the sugar levels in your body, and again, that alcohol, higher rate of miscarriages, especially for black women. Black women are more prone.
Really?
I think if I have these numbers right, for black women in the 20 and older, I think they stand a 12% chance of getting diabetes, because you have to remember, especially like in the black community, the diet is really, I think, needs to be emphasized more. Poor diet, higher fatty foods, which can cause other defects, and a lot of foods that you eat are like going to McDonald's too much, Burger King, Kentucky Fried Chicken, whatever. That catches up to your body.
Cut out the fast food, huh?
Well, at least moderated carbohydrates, which basically is a simple sugar. If you ingest too much of that, your sugar levels go up. So, yeah.
And the film also touches on issues of school bullying and
child abuse. The male protagonist, Casey, he's 17 years old. He's being abused by his mother, who's an alcoholic. In America, there's roughly 5 million women who are alcoholics. So his mother takes her drunken wrath out on him.
How does that compare to guys, do you know? I'm assuming the majority are men of alcoholics, or
I'm not exactly sure on that.
But that's a large number. I didn't realize there were...
Well, I would guess maybe about the same, maybe more. That is really a large number when you think about it. So she takes her drunken wrath out on Casey, who in turn is being bullied at school. So he has no recourse. He's constantly, I call him perpetual daydreamer, because he's fantasizing in his mind of how to be strong, because he doesn't know how. He's being beat up at home. He's being bullied at school. And so he meets Teresa, who is coming off her second miscarriage, which has led her to separate from her husband, because she's been so traumatized by the miscarriages that she's shut down.
I've heard that the death of a child is a common cause of divorce, but a miscarriage is the same thing?
From the statistics that I've studied, up to 40% of marriages wind up ending in divorce, either via miscarriage, stillbirth, or some kind of other form of child death. It's even higher for live-in couples. I think it's up to 70%. That's, when you sit and think about it, it's astronomical. So.
Now, I know the film is still kind of a work in progress. You're working on getting in finance and that sort of thing, but you have a bit of a cast attached to this? Or?
No, Weenda Wolf is attached to play the leading role of Teresa.
We've had her on the show before.
Right. She's, I'm really fond of her. I mean, you've had her. She's been recently in the backup plan. My mind is going blank on me. I think Ocean's 12.
Now, she did that short film that won the Oscar, too.
Yes, she did, West Bank Story.
Yeah.
And Forbes, rather, you might have seen her on HSN, KVC, the $1 Billion Hostess. That's a personal favorite of mine. I don't want to get too much into it, but she's playing a minor role. We have Joan Severance attached in there, so we're picking up steam, and I'm currently trying to attach more talent, but because their names are not officially signed or attached to it, I can't disclose them.
So do you have some sort of a timeline for this? Or I know it's always a little bit crazy in the world of film finance. But,
well, let me say I would ideally like to secure all the financing, hopefully no later than May, and begin principal photography later on this year.
Well, thank you very much, Dane Terrell, and best of luck with Casey. We'll keep an eye out for it. And I'd also like to thank Ceil Hansen. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next time.